Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Good day, I am Oini B. Alvarez, and I'll be reporting the legal basis of the Philippine education system. To start with, let us first define the word legal. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the term legal derives from the Latin word legalis, which means law. It means conforming to or permitted by law established rules. And if we are to define the legal basis of the Philippine education system, it would mean as the laws which are the basis of the Philippine education system. Here in the Philippines, we have 3 levels of education: elementary, secondary, and tertiary. Public and private elementary and secondary education fall under the governance of the Department of Education, whereas the tertiary education falls under the Commission on Higher Education. The legal basis of the Philippine education system was made to ensure that the country has a strong foundation wherein the officials will look into making decisions for the betterment of the Philippine education. Now, let's talk about the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, Article 14. It highlights education, science and technology, arts, culture, and sports. So what has been stated in Article 14 of the 1987 Philippines Constitution about some of the responsibilities of the state? To protect and give our citizens the rightful quality in terms of education. So let's start with education. The purpose of education is to provide an individual with knowledge, skills, competence, or usually desirable qualities of behavior and character to render him fit for duties in life. So Section 1, the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. It means that every child is entitled to the basic necessities in life, like food, shelter, and clothing. More than these physiological needs that has to be attended, it is responsibility of the parents, together with the full support and assistance of the state, to provide their children with quality education. So the state shall promote and protect the right to quality education at all levels, the right to affordable and accessible education, and education that is relevant to the needs of people and society. Okay, Section 2. The state shall first establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people and society. 2. Establish and maintain a system of free public education in the elementary and high school levels without limiting the natural right of parents to rear their children. Elementary education is compulsory for all children of all age or school age. 3. Establish and maintain a system of scholarship grants, student loan programs, subsidies, and other incentives which shall be available to deserving students in both public and private schools, especially to the underprivileged. 4. Encourage non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning system, as well as self-learning, independent, and out-of-school study programs, particularly those that respond to community needs. Provide adult citizens, the disabled, and out-of-school youth with training in civics, vocational efficiency, and other skills. So Section 2 means everybody is free to choose the course to be taken up in college as long as it is within its ability and capacity. Provisions for formal and informal education in all kinds of citizens must be offered to respond to the needs of each individual and the society. Now, let's move on to Section 3. First, all education institutions shall include the study of the Constitution as part of the curriculum. Second, they shall inculcate patriotism and nationalism, foster love of humanity, respect for human rights, appreciation of the role of national heroes in the historical development of the country, teach the rights and duties of citizenship, strengthen ethical and spiritual values, develop moral character, broaden scientific and technological knowledge, and promote vocational efficiency. Third, at the option expressed in writing by the parents or guardians, religion shall be allowed to be taught to their children or wards in public elementary and high school within the regular class hours by instructors designated or approved by the religious authorities of the religion to which the children or wards belong without additional cost of the government. So it means that Section 3 is all education institutions, public, private, sectarian, or non-sectarian, must include the study of constitutions and religion to promote nationalism, patriotism, and inculcate values. Section 4, it is stated here, first, the state recognizes the complementary roles of public and private institutions in the educational system and shall exercise reasonable supervision and regulation of all educational institutions. Second, educational institutions other than those established by religious groups and mission boards shall be owned solely by citizens of the Philippines or corporations or associations, at least 60% of the capital of which is owned by such citizens. The Congress may, however, require increased Filipino equity participation in all educational institutions. The control and administration of educational institutions shall be vested in the citizens of the Philippines. No educational institution shall be established exclusively for aliens, and no group of aliens shall comprise more than 1/3 of the enrollment in any school. The provisions of this subsection shall not apply to schools established for foreign diplomatic personnel and their dependents, and unless otherwise provided by law, for other foreign temporary residents. 3. All revenues and assets of non-stock, non-profit educational institutions used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes shall be exempt from taxes and duties. Upon the dissolution or cessation of the corporate existence of such institutions, their assets shall be disposed of in the manner provided by law. Proprietary educational institutions, including those cooperatively owned, many likewise to be entitled to such exemptions, subject to the limitations provided by law, including restrictions of dividends and provisions for reinvestment. 4. Subject to conditions prescribed by law, all grants, endowments, donations, or contributions used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes shall be exempt from tax. To conclude my report, the state must provide quality education for all and does everything to reach out the farthest community to educate each citizen of the country for free as much as possible. For the continuation of this topic, Ma'am Amy, take it away.
Thank you, Ma'am Amy. Good morning, Pilipinas. Another flash report, mga kabayan. Section 5 to 19 of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines gave us all about the roles of the state on language, science and technology, arts and culture, and sports, also under the laws in education. In Section 5, it clearly tells that the state is responsible for the regional and sectoral needs and shall encourage local planning in the development of educational policies and programs. Academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher education. Each citizen has the right to select a profession or course of study that is fair and reasonable in admission and other adequate requirements. In this section, it also tells that the teachers have the right to professional advancement, whether teaching or not teaching, and the state shall also assign the highest budgetary priority to education to ensure that teaching will attract and retain its full share and other means of job satisfaction and fulfillment. Section 6 to 9 with the title Language clearly tells that the national language of the Philippines is Filipino. The government should take the initiative to sustain the use of Filipino as a medium of official communication and also language of instruction in the educational system. Otherwise, it will be provided by law to become English. The regional languages and secondary in terms of official language in the regions. The Spanish and Arabic are also promoted, but it will be in voluntary and optional basis, which means it is not obligatory in higher education. To make it easier, the Congress should establish a National Commission on a Language, represented by various regions to promote preservation of Filipino and other languages. And in Section 10 to 13, with the title Science and Technology, Science and technology, which is essential for national development and progress, the state shall give priority to research and development, invention, and innovation. They will support all aspects related to research, even the indigenous people, as long as it is applicable for country's productive system and national life. To make it happen, the Congress may provide incentives, which includes tax deduction, scholarship grants, and other forms of incentives to provide the deserving students to continue their research. This is why we have DOST scholars. But all the research shall be for the national development or national benefit. It will be the property of the government and the researchers or scientists to secure the exclusive right for this. Section 14 to 18 under Arts and Culture. This tells about the preservation and enrichment of Filipino national culture. Arts, letters, artistic and historic wealth should be a cultural treasure. The state also recognize and protect the indigenous cultural community to preserve their cultures and traditions and even the institutions. They also ensure equal access to cultural opportunities through educational system, public or private, even scholarship grants and other incentives. Research and studies on arts and culture are encouraged and also supported by the state. And last mga kabayan, usapang sports tayo. Under Section 19, the state shall promote physical education and encourage different sports programs, competitions, amateur and international, to foster discipline and teamwork that will lead to excellence and development of healthy and alert citizenry. With this, all educational institutions shall undertake regular sports activities through the country. That's our flash report for today. Have a happy weekend. This is Amiam Seban reporting.
Good day everyone, I am Mr. Melvin Kiboy Nagsimer, and today I am reporting on the organization and structure of the three governing bodies in terms of the education sectors. In the Department of Education, or in Tagalog, Kagawaran ng Edukasyon, or in abbreviation of the DepEd, it is mandated by the Republic Act of 9155, also known as the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001. So for the DepEd, it is the executive department of the Philippines government responsible for ensuring access to promoting equity in and improving the quality of basic education. This is the vision of the Department of Education, who is passionately love their country, values and competency, realize their full potentials, and also contribute for the meaningfully to building the nations, and also as a learner-centered public institution by the Department of Education continuously improves itself to better serves its stakeholders. The mission of the Department of Education is to protect and promote the right of every Filipino to quality, equitable, culture-based, and complete basic education, where also the student learn in a child-friendly, gender-sensitive, safe, and motivating environment. Teachers also facilitate learning and constantly nurture every learners, administrators, and staffs as stewards of the institution, ensuring an enabling and supportive environment for the effective learning to happen. Family, community, and other stakeholders are actively engaged and share responsibility for the developing life of the learners. It's the logo or the image of the seal of the Department of Education under Depart Order number 63 series of 2011. Elaborated itself symbolism shield was the stylized open hand supporting the two sea lions, or are represented DepEd as a caring and nurturing institution. The two sea lions holding an open book over the plate symbolize the leadership and excellence. And of course, the book and the light and torch radiating its lights over the Philippines archipelago. Let us now proceed to the central office or organizational structure under by the Department Order of 52 series of 2015. This is the overview of the organizational structure of the Department of Education. On top, the Office of the Secretary or the OSEC, and it is also included the Office of the Undersecretary, Office of the Assistant Secretary. It is also currently led by our Vice President, Sara Duterte, and the Secretary exercise supervision and control over the entire department, and also each department secretaries and assistant secretaries assist the Office of the Secretary. Under that too is the Teacher Education Council Secretariat, and also the power of the Secretariat shall primarily provide the technical and administrative assistance to the Council. And the other one is the Internal Audit Services. It's also included the Management Audit Division, Operation Audit Division. It also serves as the Internal Audit Services as the watchdog of the department. Next is the assistance of the team, curriculum and instruction. So it serves also the instruction to ensure that the organization focuses on the delivery of the relevant, responsive, and effective basic education curriculum. Then is the finance and administration. So the purpose or the primary role of the finance and administration is to finance and to ensure the efficiency of the support of the organization, to focus on its core businesses and thus attain its targets. Third is the strategic management. So the purpose of the strategic management is also to ensure that enables the organization, focuses a long-term direction and interface with the internal and external environment and stakeholders. Also moving forward, this comes to next is the legal and legislative affairs. So the primary purpose of the legal and legislative affairs is to enhance the capacity of the organization to deal with the legal matters and to be proactive in moving forward its legislative agenda. Is the governance and the operation. So the primary purpose of the governance and operations is to ensure the capacity of the organization to continuously improve and the strategic and managing in the environment for which teaching and learning takes place. And also the acquaintance of the Republic Act 9155. This is also have the field operation, the regional offices, school division offices, schools and learning centers. It is also the supervised fields of the offices under the scope of the Undersecretary of the Governance and Operation. It's also included to the DepEd Order number 52 series of 2015 is to approve the organizational structure is consists with the provision of the Republic Act 9155 in applying the principles of decentralization and shared governance.
Thank you, Sir Melvin, for your informative news. But it will not end there. To give you more information, let me share the organization and structure of the Commission on Higher Education, also known as CHED. CHED was created on May 18, 1994 through the passage of the Republic Act 7722 or the Higher Education Act of 1994. It is a governing body covering both public and private higher education institutions as well as degree granting programs in all tertiary educational institutions in the country. It is a key agency mandated to promote quality higher education and to ensure accessibility to those who may not be able to afford it. CHED ensures that the country's human capital stays competitive by upholding academic freedom and fostering intellectual growth. For its vision, Philippine higher education system that is equitable and producing locally responsive, innovative, and globally competitive graduates and lifelong learners. It is a key leader and effective partner in transforming higher education institutions towards producing highly competent and productive professionals through dynamic, excellent, and client-oriented services. Its mission is to promote equitable access and ensure the quality and relevance of higher education institutions and their programs. CHED is committed to provide effective central office direction and implement programs and mechanisms to ensure affordable quality higher education accessible to all. Here is the official organizational structure of CHED. On top is a chairperson, including the commissioners who provide overall policy and operational direction to all CHED offices. Each shall principally be responsible for the optimization of social, institutional, and individual returns and benefits derived from the consensus allocation, utilization, and accountability of its funds and resources following the tenets of efficiency and effectiveness, responsiveness, access, and equity. Currently, the CHED's chairperson is Dr. J. Prospero E. De Vera III. The regional offices, on the other hand, are the dynamic and empowered frontline organic units of CHED that adhere to the highest principles of good governance, accountability, transparency, and efficient service to the stakeholders of higher education. Aside from the DepEd and CHED, we also have the Technical and Education Skills Development Authority, also known as TESDA. It is the government agency tasked to manage and supervise technical education and skills development in the Philippines. It was created by virtue of Republic Act 7796 or the Technical Education Skills Development Act of 1994. Its responsibilities include providing policy directions and guidelines for resource allocation for technical, vocational, educational, and training institutions in both private and public sectors. TESDA envisions a transformational leader in the technical education and skills development of the Filipino workforce which is to be the leading partner in the development of the Filipino workforce with world-class competence and positive work values. TESDA's mission is to set direction, promulgates relevant standards, and implements programs geared towards a quality, assured, and inclusive technical education and skills development and certification system. It provides direction, policies, programs, and standards towards quality technical education and skill development. Here's the approved organizational structure of TESDA. On top is the TESDA board, whose members are the Secretary of Labor and Employment Chairperson, the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of Trade and Industry, the Secretary of Agriculture, the Secretary of the Interior and Local Government, and the Director General of the TESDA Secretariat as members. Currently, the former Labor Undersecretary Danilo Cruz is the new head of TESDA. The TESDA Secretariat, by virtue of Republic Act 7796, is passed to establish and maintain a planning process and formulate a national, technical, education, and skills development plan in which the member agencies and the other concerned entities of the authority at various levels participate. Aside from the mentioned offices, there are also other offices under TESDA Secretariat. Each office is headed by an executive director who is appointed by the Director General. There are also regional offices that are under the direct authority of the Director General. These regional offices are headed by regional directors who are directly appointed by the President of the Philippines. The regional offices are further divided into the provincial TESDA offices, which are headed by the skill development offices. Again, these are the three governing bodies in the field of education here in the Philippines: the DepEd, CHED, and TESDA.
Good day, this is your TV News anchor, Jeff Reyes, all the way from the South. Let us have a quick glance on our hottest and latest headlines. The government has not revised the curriculum for public elementary schools for almost 30 years. Meanwhile, the curriculum for public high schools has not been changed for almost 2 decades, in sharp contrast to the general practice worldwide, which calls for revision of every 10 years. Senior Education Department officials argue that is why the Rbec, or the Revised Basic Education Curriculum, which is responsive to the ever-changing world, is badly needed. Moving on to the features of Rbec, or the Revised Basic Education Curriculum, competence is learning how to learn throughout one's life in this changing world, which entails the secure attainment of functional literacy, which include essential abilities such as linguistic fluency and scientific numerical competence. In the Philippines basic education, mastery of these essentials implies that Filipino, English, science, and mathematics are indispensable learning areas in this restricted curriculum. In general, the time allotment for these subjects will increase, not to burden the learners with additional dispensable amount of activities, but to increase the time for tasks and activities to gain mastery of the basic competencies and to help learners reflect on the contextualized content. The Revised Basic Education Curriculum, or the Rbec, is on its 7th year of implementation this school year 2005 to 2006, with slight modifications, of course, with the emphasis on rubrics and student performance as basis of grading system. Teachers are required to prepare their syllabus based on the objectives of the Revised Basic Education Curriculum, as well as lesson plans were also patterned and organized to meet the objectives of the implemented curriculum. Demonstration teachings were conducted for staff development during the school-level workshop. Department heads also make periodic observation of classes to monitor the implementation of the Rbec, or the Revised Basic Education Curriculum. This implies that integration method, collaborative teaching, peer teaching, team teaching, motor activities, visual as well as oral activities in classes were noted and observed.
Thank you so much, Mom. Good morning, everyone. For additional information, about Rbec are the revised basic education curriculum. What was the aim of the revised basic education curriculum of 2002? To provide knowledge and develop skills, attitudes, and values essential to personal development and necessary for living and contributing to a developing and changing society. Second, provide learning experiences which increase the child awareness of and responsiveness to the changes in society. Third, promote an intensively knowledge identification with and love for the nation and the people to which he or she belongs. And lastly, promote work experience which develop orientation to the world of work and prepare the learner to engage in honest and gainful work. The Rbec articulated a vision and mission. The Department of Education envisioned every learner to be functionally literate, equipped with the life skills appreciative of arts and sports, and imbued with the desirable values of a person who is makabayan, makatao, makakalikasan, at makadiyos. The vision is in line with the DepEd's mission to provide quality basic education that is equitably accessible to all and lays the foundation for lifelong learning and service for the common good. Policy guidelines, implementation for the curriculum. Rbec shall be continued for school year 2006-2007. School's implementation of the Rbec shall focus on the promotion of the lifelong learning and service among stakeholders with focus on shared trust toward peace and developing improving schools' performance in a climate of integration and curriculum intervention. Delivery of the curriculum. Policy on bilingual education was considered in the delivery of the curriculum. Filipino will be the medium of instruction for subjects like math, science, English, and TLE, while Filipino will be the medium of instruction for components areas of Makabayan, which include MAPE, Values Education, Araling Panlipunan, and Filipino. Grading system. The implementing guidelines on the performance based on grading system will be used continually for school year 2006-2007. Test design of 60% basic items, 30% more advanced items, and 10% difficult items. Use of the rubrics as a scoring guide shall continue in order to assess performance. And that would be all today. Thank you so much.
Good day! Another information from our previous report. Act Number 74, which was enacted on January 21, 1901 by the Philippine Commission, provided the establishment of the Department of Public Instruction, which will be headed by the General Superintendent. The archipelago will also be divided into schools division and districts for effective management of the school system. It also tells that English will be the medium of instruction in all levels. There will be optional religious instructions in schools and trade schools in Manila and School of Agriculture in Negros. A normal school in Manila, which is known now as the Philippine Normal University, were also established. Act Number 2706, known as the Private School Law, which was enacted on March 10, 1917 by the Philippine Legislature, which made obligatory the recognition and inspection of private schools and colleges by the Secretary of Public Instruction so as to maintain a standard of efficiency in all private schools and colleges in the country. This law was amended by Commonwealth Act of Number 180, passed on November 13, 1936, which provided that the Secretary of Public Instruction was vested with power to supervise, inspect, and regulate said schools and colleges in order to determine the efficiency of instruction given in the same, and all private schools come under the supervision and regulation of the Secretary, thus eliminating diploma mills and substandard schools. Commonwealth Act of Number amended by RA 9163, known as the National Defense Act, passed by the Philippine Assembly on December 21, 1935, provided in Section 81 that preparatory military training shall be given with the youth in the elementary grade school at the age of 10 and shall extend through the remainder of his schooling into college or post-secondary education. And by virtue of Presidential Decree 1706, issued by the late President Marcos on August 8, 1980, otherwise known as the National Service Law, Commonwealth Act No. 1, was amended and required all citizens to render civic, welfare service, law enforcement service, and military service. Commonwealth Act No. 80, this law created the Office of Adult Education on October 26, 1936, so as to eliminate illiteracy and to give vocational and citizenship training to adult citizens of the country. Next is Commonwealth Act No. 578. It was enacted in June 8, 1940 and conferred the status of persons in authority upon the teachers, professors, and persons charged with the supervision of public or duly recognized public schools, private schools, colleges, and universities. This also provided the penalty of imprisonment ranging from 6 months and 1 day to 6 years and a fine ranging from 500 to 1,000 pesos upon any person found guilty of assault upon those teaching personnel. Commonwealth Act No. 586, repealed by RA 896, is known as the Education Act of 1940. It was approved on August 7, 1940 by the Philippine Assembly. This law provides the reduction of 7-year elementary course to 6-year elementary course, fixing the school entrance age to 7, and then the national support of elementary education. There will be a compulsory attendance in the primary grades for all children who will enroll in grade 1, and introduction of double single session, one class in the morning and another in the afternoon, under one teacher to accommodate more children. Commonwealth Act No. 589. This law was approved on August 19, 1940, established a school ritual in all public and private elementary and secondary schools in the Philippines. This ritual consists of solemn and patriotic ceremonies that include the singing of the national anthem and patriotic pledges. Republic Act No. 139, repealed by Republic Act 8047, enacted on June 14, 1947, and the Board of Textbooks. This law provided that all public schools must only use one book that are approved by the board for a period of 6 years from the date of their adoption, and the private schools may use books of their choice provided that the Board of Textbooks has no objection with those books. Republic Act No. 896, which was enacted on June 20, 1953, are known as the Elementary Education Act of 1953, repealed Commonwealth Act 586 and provided the following: restoration of grade 7, but this was never been implemented due to lack of funds, abolition of double single session, and return to the former practice of only one class under one teacher in the primary, and 3 teachers to 2 classes, or 5 teachers to 3 classes in the intermediate level, compulsory completion of the elementary grades, and compulsory enrollment of children in the public school upon attaining 7 years of age. Republic Act No. 1425 was approved on June 12, 1956. It prescribed the inclusion in the curricula of all schools, both public and private, from elementary schools to the universities, the life, works and writings of Dr. Jose Rizal, especially the Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Republic Act number 4670, known as the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, was approved on June 18, 1966. It was done to promote and improve the social and economic status of public school teachers, their living, working conditions, their employment, and career prospects. It also provides the following: recruitment qualification for teachers, code of professional conduct for teachers, teaching hours of 6 hours of classroom teaching, which is the maximum load, additional compensation, 25% of the regular remuneration, health and injury benefits through the GSIS, 1-year study leave. After 7 years of continuous teaching, the teacher should receive 60% of the monthly salary. 1 range salary increase upon retirement. It is based on the computation on the retirement fee and freedom to form organizations. And the Republic Act number 6655, known as the Free Public Secondary Education of 1988, was approved on May 26, 1988 and provided for free public secondary education to all qualified citizens and promote quality education at all levels. No tuition fee or other fees shall be collected except fees related to membership in the school community such as ID, student organization, and publication. Non-payment of these shall not hinder a student from enrollment or graduation. Nationalization of public schools, secondary schools. A student who fails in majority of his subjects for 2 consecutive years could no longer avail of this program. Thank you very much and have a good day.